Budget hearing for 2017-2018, it's approximately 6:35. Welcome. I think most of you have been here before. If not, just to let you know, we would, as we call your department, you're invited to come up and present to the board if you would like. Otherwise, the board may just have a few questions, and then we'll move on to the next department. First item on the agenda is 4825 FL Center. Okay, how are you? I know.
I can't.
You're welcome.
You, Kathy.
You know what, I'll like to chill. Yeah. You want me to?
Thank you.
I think he's probably seen it already, but that's okay, you can have another. Okay, so. Of course, as always, we want to thank the city of Milford for all the support and the partnership we've had. City's been wonderful to us, and we're very grateful for that. In these packets, you have the most recently approved budget for 2017, just approved at our January board meeting. Again, we projected another deficit for this year. In addition to our state contract, our current state contract, last fall we had a reduction of 5.75%, which affected our two fall quarters and will affect our spring, winter and spring quarters this year. So that has an impact. You'll notice that it actually went down from what was 200,000 to 188. Currently, and with the governor's announcements last week, we do not know what to anticipate in terms of further cuts. We're told to expect them. We don't have any idea of what they will be as yet. So this is in addition to the 5.75 cut that we've already experienced. We are asking for a $5,000 increase this year from the city of Milford. We did not ask for an increase last year. We held it steady, but we find that this year is going to be very difficult to raise funds with what we're facing. We'll continue to provide more services with less money. We're working within the coordinated access network system as required by the state. And this work has resulted in an increase to our workload for our shelter program staff. We have no ability to increase capacity at this point, but we're doing the best we can to continue the level of services and the quality of services that we currently have. We've added drop-in case management services 1 day a week so that people in Milford can come to the door should they need any type of housing or shelter assistance, and they will be seen by a case manager and given whatever referrals and resources we can provide to them. We have provided outreach services to those who are unsheltered and respond as needed to assist with other issues involving housing and homelessness, working with the other social service agencies in the city. Our staffing levels, as I said, remain the same, 7 full-time people, per diem and part-time staff during the evening and nighttime, and just 24/7 coverage, which we're required to have.
I'm sorry, how many part-time do you have?
We have what we call per diem. They cover the nighttime staff, and they're not, there's not one on for 40 hours a week, so we vary them. We have about 9 people.
9?
Yeah. We provide the no-free shelter in the winter, of course, and we've had to respond to the governor's mandate for winter shelter protocol, where we have to remain open. And that was the other axe that got dropped this year, in that he said, sorry, but there's no winter shelter money. So that we had to resort to going to some private foundations as a group in Haven. All of us shelters together went to a group of private funders and were able to get that restored. But they made it very plain that would be for this year only, and and it was not their responsibility, and it wouldn't be coming again in the future.
At his message, he indicated something about more money for homeless, that nobody's gonna be homeless. Did that come to you? Any message on that?
Well, here's what has been happening, due to coming down from HUD, from the feds, down through the state. There's been a concerted effort in the last year and a half to 2 years to end what they call chronic homelessness.
Right.
Chronic homelessness is, by definition, HUD definition, is several episodes of homelessness or a period of homelessness that equals 1 year. Plus, you have to have some type of disability on top of that.
Oh,
So the focus is on a specific targeted group of people, some of whom we serve, some of whom in our shelter do not meet that criteria, so.
but he mandated that you have to do,
Yes, we have definitely been told that that's the target population that we all have to work hard to get placed somewhere.
with no money from him.
There's no additional money for that. The additional money is in housing. He's putting money in building housing, in building affordable housing, in building supportive housing, in providing funds for
Okay.
some other types of services, rapid rehousing and things like that. There's additional resources for us to be able to place people, but there's no additional money coming directly to us for direct services at this point. And I applaud the effort, don't get me wrong, and we're proud of the fact that we had a role to play in that, but it's not been easy. You know, soup kitchen is the usual, been open almost 7 days a week now, given the fact that we have other groups that kind of coming in and helping, including our board, who is now doing 2 dinners a month. So we served about 26,676 meals last year, between lunch and dinner and weekends. You'll see from the pie chart in there, the city's grant represents about 12% of our annual budget. As I said, we're requesting a small increase to help mitigate some of the impact of the state funding cuts that we have faced and that we're going to face. So, asking for your approval, the recommendation to the Board of Aldermen, and I'm open to any questions.
They didn't indicate anything about what he's cutting from the state grant.
Not, all we know is that the departments have been told that they're going to face a 10% cut. All the departments, how
I mean,
they end up doing that.
Like he came out, he said to, you know, that they're cutting the ECS, he's cutting splitting the ECS from the autistic children, the disabled children and all that, but he
Yes.
never said a figure for you in that area.
Not
No figure.
that we know about yet, no.
Okay, thank you.
The problem for us is, you know, we faced the cut, the 5.75 cut, then he cut the winter shelter. So the money that we would have taken from our operating to help fund the shortfall we have with no freeze now is almost a double whammy for us because we can't.
How much would they cut the winter shelter off? How much money
About
was that?
9,000. And we get some money from CDBG for no freeze salaries, but other than that, it doesn't ever come up to what it costs us to run, especially if we're open 24 hours, like we just were. Under the storm.
I'm all set.
Any questions?
Thank you for your
Okay,
presentation.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much, I
Okay,
appreciate it.
thank you.
By the way, I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce.
Yes.
I know you all know Matt.
Right.
This is Susan Lepine, she's our vice president of our board.
What's the name?
Susan Lepine.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you, we really appreciate the support you've given us over the years. So
Okay,
You
important.
do great work.
thank you, you do
Thank you.
the work.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Election 4112. Hello. Good. Also just, I forgot to mention that even though we may know who you are, if you could just please state your name for the record. Appreciate that.
I'm Joanne Hurst.
I'm Carrie, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go
I'm
ahead.
Carrie Rowland, I'm one of the registrars of voters, and the other registrar, Deborah Fellenbaum, chief registered clerk.
Welcome.
Well,
Thank you.
We're here for the elections account, and at this point, I am going to defer to the registrars, since this really is their account, I just oversee it.
Well, the elections account is different from our office account in that it pays for everything related to the elections. What I can talk about a little bit is, just quickly, and then you guys can ask us questions. We just came off the presidential election, and we broke a few records. We added over 4,000 voters to our voting rolls, got over 36,000 voters in Milford for the first time ever. We saw a pretty average 80% turnout for the election, and we hired 175 poll workers, not just for that day, but also for days leading into the election, because when you're registering that many people, obviously it's not something that we can keep up with with our own staff. So, you know, we've had some discussion over the years about what does that cover, and there's primaries and there's the paying of the poll workers, and that's why the amount is a little less that we're asking for this year. But as always, and as you heard in Bethel's, and I'm sure you'll hear the rest of the night, the state mandates and the state cuts don't sort of make it easy for the departments, because they're cutting and asking us to do more. And that is certainly the true for all of us. But if you have questions.
yeah, on the cuts, how does that affect the registrar of voters area?
Well, there aren't specific cuts that will come right to our budget. There'll be a general cut, and then you'll want to
You don't
find
know
the
what's
money
cutting,
from us.
what are they cutting?
No, there's no specific cut that I'm aware of for our,
There are some
Elections
things
or-
on the agenda that may affect the election process. If you want to go into that a little bit.
well, one of the things that the Secretary of the State is really pushing hard is for early voting.
Yeah,
So if we have a primary and we have early voting, I would be afraid, I'd have a hard time staying within that budget, I would think, that what we're asking in the elections account.
why would the early voting affect your budget?
Because we'd have to staff a polling place with a moderator, assistant registrar, all the regular staff, and we don't
What
know.
are you talking about, early voting time-wise? or-
Yeah, like 2 weeks would be election day for 2 weeks up
Oh,
until
yeah,
election
that's
day.
beautiful, okay.
Yeah.
So in addition to absentee ballots and election day registration, all of which have costs, that would be yet another one. And it wouldn't be like election day registration and voting, we'd be required to have those mandated poll workers there. And we don't know, I mean, is it 6 AM to 8 PM, Monday through Friday for 2 weeks? Is it 9 to 5, is it 8 to 8? We don't, you know, there's just so many unknowns with that. I couldn't even wager a guess what it might cost us to run it.
That would affect not this budget though, right?
Well, they threw IVS machines at us for the presidential election with 2 months prepare time. We went to a training for that, and it was such a massive training session that it blew the power out of the room we were in,
Oh, yeah, I
which
remember
makes
that.
you very
Yeah.
leery going into a presidential election with a new computer printer system that you've not had training on, so that was pretty scary. So anything is possible.
That's right. Okay, I'm all set on that one.
Thank you. 4115, register of voters.
I need to stay here. I'm not-
Yeah, we won't let you
Yes,
back.
Yeah. I gave you some of the highlights already that affect our department. It's how Deborah and I manage. But I also, you know, I come and I'm so nervous every year that I am very remiss to not acknowledge the people that help us do our jobs. Our staff is exceptional, hardworking. We ask them to do above and beyond the call of duty when they're registering voters and on election day, working 20 hours on election day straight. You know, it's hard to find time to even go to the bathroom, let alone eat, and that's not an understatement. But the 175 people who serve also on election day come in at 5 in the morning. They have very little time to eat when there's an 80% turnout, or go to the bathroom, or take breaks. And they should be commended because they have done an excellent job, and we have not publicly thanked them, and I wanted to take a moment to do that. Thank you for letting me do that. We can go through the line items, and we can talk about the specifics of our budget if you'd like, but it's the
I
same.
want to combine this for a second.
Sure.
On your election expenses, how much of that is actual, say, salaries? Paying out the salaries?
It comes from the election account for the poll workers.
Yeah, how many? How much is that?
Deborah, do you have that number?
I do.
I have it somewhere.
Now, these are just poll workers that are in this election.
$55,035 we spent on poll workers payroll. for the
55,000.
November 8th election. Keep in mind that that includes some people from Joanne's office who worked extra,
That's what I
right?
wanna know.
That encompasses everything that we had to do.
So we're crossing salaries here then?
That's only basically on election night.
Right.
We
But
have
still
one
crossing.
we have one person that stays in for overtime.
But it's
then
all
we
the
have-
polling places and election day registration and all the people that came into our office. We
Right.
sort of trained them for election day registration in our office, registering people for August, September, and October leading into the election.
Because
So that's that too.
what's a seasonal temporary under your registrar of voters?
Well, those are, we have 2 people in our office who are under that category. If we were to have them work 3 days a week, it would be close to $18,000 for their pay. Is that the right number?
I'm sorry, I didn't follow you on that.
The seasonal temporaries
Oh,
work
yeah.
3 days a week
Yeah.
approximately. That would cost $18,000. We're asking for more because they work 4 and 5 days right around the election. And we really need them 3 days for the rest of the year. That's why we're asking for the increase. It's been that low as long as I've been in the office, and I've been there 9 years. And we just can't get the work done anymore.
Again, we are being required more and more from the Secretary of the State, just like duplicate voters, we have a big thing we're working on now, cleaning up the files after the election. We need our seasonals, we're all doing other things,
Mhm.
so that's one reason for it.
The ones that are doing the work in the elections, the poll workers,
Yes.
That's from election.
now you have
Election
people
day.
that are working from the seasonal group doing work in this area too?
No,
No? Okay.
Just election day.
just election
Election
day.
day.
Yeah, election day, the seasonals get paid from
So
the
their salaries are
election
not
account.
coming out of this area?
On
are they?
election
On
day,
election day,
they are
They're
not.
coming out of election expenses?
That's correct.
So we're talking 55,000 plus then?
No,
No?
that's counting them
That's
getting their
including all of
pay
it.
from
Okay,
election day.
all right.
Because they work, I mean, that would eat up the seasonal temporary account.
So when they're
That's
working
what-
there, that's not out of the seasonal temporary money?
Not on election day, no. So they work 20 hours that day too, so.
Okay, so they work 3 days a week right now for this 18,000?
They don't quite make work that much because the budget was 15. So we have to tell them not to work.
They can't work when we run out of money,
Mhm.
and then we skate till 5.
Yeah.
Carry on.
And how many, they work 3 days, how many, there are 3 people,
2 people,
Two.
2 seasonal temporaries.
2, okay, working 3 days a week, okay.
Yes.
Right, that's what we're trying to fully fund.
Okay, at the point right now of 18,000,
Right.
okay.
Okay, anything further? And if not, we'll move on to City Clerk, 4129, page
You gonna stay
22.
with
We'll see.
Support.
Yeah, that's it.
So, if you notice, I went up in a few line items, but I did go down in one as well. Kind of give or take. If you have questions about the ones that I went up in, I'd be glad to answer them, or any other ones that you'd like to address those.
I guess advertising went down, which I would typically expect that to go up. Is there some reason why we're able to save some money on advertising? or-
We've just seen periodically over the course of about 3 or 4 years that we've been using less in that account.
Okay,
So I thought it was better to, if you notice it's indexing and recording, I've I've come to you the 3 years, again, because the fund is underfunded, so I always come to you for contingency. So I'm asking for that amount to go up so that we won't have to take it out of the contingency fund. I've asked for $500 additional in seasonal temporary. I have a woman that comes in 3 days a week. When I first came here, they were working 5 hours a day for 3 days. I've reduced to 4 hours a day so that I could stay within that budget, because of the pay scale going up in minimum wage, I don't think that I can make it with that 7,000.
How many people live in this area?
Just one.
Oh,
3
just
days,
one.
3 days a week for 4 hours a day. And we're one of the offices that do not close during lunchtime, so she helps to fill in, especially when we have people on vacation or out sick, or, so we feel that it's necessary to keep that person in there.
Is indexing reporting, is that digital in any form or shape? It's all digital?
Well, everything is now digital as it comes in on a daily basis.
Okay.
What our office is trying to do, we take the historic grant money that we have. Hopefully we get it again this year. I don't know with all the cuts in if it's still gonna happen, but if that does happen, we should be going back into the 70s with our digital recordings. So people will be able to come in, look it up on the computer, and print it on the computer, which is a system that I developed since taking office.
Very useful.
I thought we went through a security system last time.
We did, and it didn't pass.
Somebody else talked about it though. It was out of your area though. Was it the police department talking about it? No.
No, it was probate? No.
I
Yeah,
can't.
we've recently circled back with our PD, and we've asked them to work with our building maintenance department to provide some additional security enhancements for city clerk, probate, and the tax office, that corridor right there.
Good.
That was last year's talk too, wasn't it?
There was an initial assessment done by the PD last year, and I think they're gonna follow up, they're in the process right now of following up, working with our Joanne Mayo.
I actually have a quote on a security system that I met with the police department and Omni and Slimora from building maintenance.
Okay, so who would that come under then if it does go through?
It's gonna come out of our public works.
Public Works? Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much. Have a good night.
Okay, take care.
4826, Boys and Girls Club.
92.
Hello.
It's been long. Oh, say what?
No.
Oh, you're lucky.
Okay, if you read nothing, my name is Megan Altamari, I'm the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club. If you read absolutely nothing in this packet, please read the last 7 pages because it makes me thankful to have my job and makes me smile every day. They're testimonials from our kids. The Boys and Girls Club has been busy, like normal. We're up to serving 365 kids every year. We're open after school every day, and we're also open during the summer for a 6-week summer camp. This year we had our first licensed summer camp. We were really excited to offer that. But being a licensed camp put more restrictions on us so that we had to have stricter ratios and different guidelines from the state of Connecticut. I will also proudly say that when the state inspector came down, we had 0 violations on our first ever inspection,
Wow.
which we were really excited about.
Yeah.
And it's framed in my program for my director of operations office, if anybody wants to check it out. we're getting bigger each year. One of the new things that we're offering this year is transportation. So we do offer transportation from 4 different schools, Pumpkin Delight, JFK, Meadowside, and Matheson. And that's definitely increased our budget overall. So been a big increase in our budget, and we're working very hard to be able to maintain that, hit all the numbers, get creative with funding, and work really hard.
Thank you. Helpful, any questions?
Yeah.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
So your funding is mainly, I'll say, is contributions.
So we get contributions individually, from individuals, corporations, foundations, and civic groups. Then we also work hard on grants, a lot of grants. We have several major special events throughout the year that we're really excited about, and those generate a lot of money for us. A small portion of our revenue does come from membership dues. We charge $100 a year for a child to be a member of our after-school
I'm
club.
sorry, how much is that?
$100
For what, the whole?
for the whole entire year, and they can come every single day after school to our program. And then we charge $650 for the summer, for the full day program during the summer. So
And how long
six-
is that program?
It's 6 weeks, and it's from 8 in the morning till 5 at night. One of the things we're doing differently this year, we had some parents recommend that we had a weekly fee, not just a full summer fee. So we also have a weekly fee this year
Does
for,
that work better for you, though? That can hurt you, no?
potentially it could hurt us, it'll help us, it'll allow us to better staff. So if I know that the first week of summer camp is gonna be low because 4th of July happens to be that week and more families are on vacation, I know I won't need as many staff that week. Maybe the second week of summer camp will be they'll have to sign up for a week, so we'll be able to better gauge how many staff, instead of having just staff there, whether I had 150 kids that day or 120.
I don't like that.
I'm sorry.
I don't like that 650, just willy-nilly. That makes it difficult for you to budget. I can see it with people that don't have, the poor people. By income level, yeah, I could see that, but in general, I think your 650 should stay for the whole program. You go to summer camp, any go.
We absolutely offer scholarships as well. So we
Yeah, right.
scholarship 26%.
Okay, so I don't know, I would rethink that about letting them come in on a partial basis. I think I'll send the kid this week, so I'll pay this week.
Well, they have to sign up ahead of time. They can't just all of a sudden sign up that week. They all have to be signed up before summer camp starts.
For the starts.
Yeah.
And then what do they say?
So let's say you're going on vacation 1 week. Our camp became not economical for some families because if they were going on vacation 2 weeks or give the kids other opportunities, maybe there's a hockey camp or a soccer camp. And
Okay, so you know ahead of time, before that 6 week period,
Exactly.
who's gonna be there for that 6 week period?
Yep.
Some are gonna be there for 4 weeks, some are gonna be 3, okay,
Yeah.
that's better, okay. The grants and foundations, you've really gone up 2015.
we work hard to do that.
140,000. That's on your fee and structure financials,
Yes.
yeah.
So-
Now, where do you get that? How do you get those grants and foundations? Do you have anything from the state on this?
We do get some funding through the state. We get $34,000. We're part of the Connecticut State Alliance of Boys and Girls Clubs, and we're appropriated $770,000, and it's broken up by how many kids each of the Boys and Girls Clubs serve that were granted a certain amount of money.
Okay.
We'll see.
Did he talk that you may lose money under the state?
Definitely.
Love it, I love it. I'm all set.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
And really, read the last 7 pages, it'll make you feel good.
Huh?
Read the last 7 pages, you'll feel good.
Oh, he will, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, it will. I appreciate the work you're doing, by the way. You started out very, you're doing a great job.
Thank you so much.
Health Department 4610,
79.
page 79. Good evening.
You're back.
I'm back.
afterwards, but I wanted to, as I try to do each year, just give you a little snapshot of just the past fiscal year and what we've been up to at the health department. So the cover page just gives you an idea of some of the traffic flow that comes through our department. Once I came on board, I really wanted to track phone calls coming in, counter service, things like that. And so that gives you just a quick snapshot of what we've been up to in different areas. If you turn to the inside, the first page really covers our community health division. This is the area that focuses on communicable diseases that are reported, that are required to be reported, anything from foodborne illness, foodborne outbreaks, tuberculosis, sexually transmitted infections, and of course, right now, we're very busy with flu cases, as many of you are aware. Our grants management also falls under this area as well. So, we've brought in about $254,000 in grants. Many of these are from the State Department of Public Health, and then a few are from some other organizations as well. So we're always continuing to look for grant opportunities, write more grants, and try to get more funding. Most of those are programmatically based.
Do you have a grant writer? Have you the
Me.
grant writer? That was a comment made in Bridgeport budget, that they don't have grant writers.
Right, so, but I've in the past year tried to incorporate some of the staff in assisting with some pieces, just to increase that skill development. At the bottom of the page, you'll see just a couple of statistics on some of the programs that we run. We run the Milford Parent Leadership Training Institute through a grant, so we've had 115 individuals graduate from that program. Many of them have now, they now sit on boards and commissions in the city of Milford, whether on nonprofit organizations, boards, or we've had a couple on the Board of Ed, and several on the United Way Board as well. And then,
Milford Parent Leadership, what does that really involve?
so that's actually an 18-week course that parents sign up for, and it teaches them civic engagement. They work on a community project of their choice, and they implement it within the community. So they're in process right now. It kicks off in January, so they're on, I think, week 4, and they're meeting right now at the First Church, and they meet for 18 weeks, and then they graduate when they complete the program.
Offhand, do you know what percentage of your grants is from the state?
Top of my head, no, but I'd
It's hard to
probably
know.
say off of this about, really 80%.
Can you hear cuts on that? You get any words?
We are on some of them, and it looks like what we're hearing is about a 10%, but that hasn't been confirmed. So then, on the next page, you'll see just some information about our school public health nursing division. So this is where we have 21 school nurses as well as 2 dental hygienists that work in the schools. Over the past year, there have been close to 46,000 health office visits by students in each of the, throughout the school system, and over 16,000 medications and treatments administered by our nurses. So we are continuing to see rising numbers of students with health concerns that require involved treatments or medications being administered. And the nurses, in the middle section, you'll see they play a role on several teams within the school system, everything from safety and security to school climate to concussion management, school crisis, and a variety of other teams. And then at the bottom, you'll see just some statistics that I included about people that we've seen specifically in our dental program. We've done 226 kindergarten screenings, applied 800 sealants, and CDC kids K through 5. And then on the back page, you'll see this chart, which I'm not going to go through the whole thing,
Yeah.
but it gives a lot of statistics about our environmental health division, which is the one that people often think of when they think of the health department. So everything from food service inspections at restaurants to housing complaints, anti-blight code enforcement, beach water sampling. So I tried to give you a snapshot of numbers of complaints coming in. We issued about 772 licenses for food service throughout the year, and that's a combination of our annual license as well as our temporary licenses. So all the wonderful events that we have in Milford, spring through summer, we typically have sanitarians that are inspecting there. So that's just a snapshot.
Good job.
And in terms of the budget, just a few things to point out for the miscellaneous professional fees line item. You'll see what used to be incorporated in there was a fee for the young parent program that used to be administered through, the payments used to be administered through our department, but that has been moved over to Bridges, as Bridges has taken over that program. I don't know if you have any other questions.
Just on that point, if the miscellaneous professional fees were 79, the increase from 19.5 to 27.5 was,
So-
because I'm not sure why.
Yeah, so what happened is if you look at the seasonal temporary line,
Okay.
it was 25,000 and it went down to 5,000.
Okay.
In that community health division section that I went over, that is staffed by a part-time community health coordinator. And as we talked further on some of my other accounts, with the consolidation of human services with the health department, one of the things that I am looking to do is potentially, instead of having that part-time position, is to look at hiring a contractor or consultant to straddle both areas and specific to actually grants management and grant writing. My goal is to really look at increasing the grant funding, especially on the human services side, and so I need some help to do that. So it went down by 20,000 in seasonal temp, and that 20,000 went into miscellaneous professional fees. The other part of that miscellaneous professional fees is 7,500 that goes to the community medical advisor.
And then there was reduction because in the professional fees because of the,
YMP, young parent program.
okay.
Mhm.
All right, got it, thank you.
Let's see.
Anything further?
Just for a second. So all the salary increase really is basically contractual kind of money, really.
Correct.
Yeah. It's the only area it's concerned.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see, I think I have a few more. 4998, educational health services school nurses.
95.
I gave you a little bit of the overview of the nurses in my initial presentation, so the budget is flat aside from contractual adjustments.
So the medical dental line on page 95, would that be to provide the dental services on your chart, or is that
No.
for professional, or is it?
Actually, what comes
Insurance.
out of, no, actually what comes out of medical and dental is the cost of our substitute nurses.
Okay,
So when our full-time nurses are out for any reason, the subs come out of that line item.
Are they paid the same rate as the individual that's substituting for?
No, they're not. They're paid $24 an hour, which is significantly lower than the full-time nurses.
and then what would be the seasonal temporary?
The seasonal temporary is we have 3 part-time health clerks that work. We have one assigned to each of the high schools, and we have one that goes to, splits the 3 middle schools. And they assist with some of the clerical work that needs to be done, as well as the flow in and out of the office by the students and managing and triaging that to the nurses.
Educational, well, I'm sorry, educational bonus, that's a contractual item?
Contractual.
Okay.
Okay, moving on, and we'll do health services, 4821,
91?
page 91.
So this is the area that really covers our well child clinics. We provide physical exams and immunizations as part of that to people who are in need of that and don't have a regular provider or access to care. This service used to be provided by the Visiting Nurses Association of Southern Connecticut. They have decided to no longer provide that service. We were one of the only remaining health departments that were utilizing their service, and they found it hard to staff the clinic for just 4 hours a month. And so what we're looking at doing now is we do have a medical advisor that works with us, Dr. Andrew Carlson. So he is able to provide the exams at $300 per exam, and we provided about 40 exams per year, so that's how we came up with the number of 12,000.
Okay, thank you.
300 exams?
40 exams, $300 per exam.
Thank you for the information, very helpful. 4817, is that your department as well? No, human services?
Human services,
Oh.
yes.
Yes, human services, okay.
It's my last one, I'll leave it.
Nine.
No, that's okay. But you didn't, health department, that didn't used to present human services, did they? Oh,
This last year,
Okay.
the Board of Aldermen passed several ordinances, and there was a reorganizational, so that is now the Department of Health, Human Services, and Job Training.
okay. Were you happy with that?
Yes,
She's been doing a great job.
it's
All
a
right.
natural fit.
I think it is.
Okay, so I have some more handouts.
Thank you.
Okay, so,
Two down that way.
on the human services side,
Oh, you should introduce it.
thank you. So this, I will say, I've been working with this department since July, so I'm just, I guess about six months in or so. So just a little disclaimer on the statistics. I'm working with the department on kind of honing in on our statistics a little bit better and looking at, unduplicated number of individuals that we're serving and working on some electronic databases to really be able to capture what we do and make sure it's accurate. So I did pull some of the information from the past fiscal year. On the first page, you'll see the human services side, where we provide a variety of assistance to residents in Milford. Anything from energy assistance to utilities to rent rebate. So these are kind of a variety of things that we do. On the top, you'll see we've broken it down by number of Milford households served and then people that are within that household. So we've served approximately 1,400 households within the city of Milford through outreach, energy assistance, food referrals as well, farmers market vouchers. So, and within that, in terms of financial assistance that we've provided, that's the little pie chart in the middle. You'll see that we've provided approximately $40,000, and that really, one of the things that we do is we coordinate the provision of the financial assistance. So not all of that comes directly from our budget, but we work with United Way, Salvation Army, St. Mary's Church to be able to provide direct assistance to residents that may need it. And we do a full intake and assessment with individuals to make sure that these are sustainable options and that we're providing just a little bit of help they need in order to become self-sufficient.
These are the source of these funds, okay.
Correct. And then we also do holiday programs, which many people are familiar with. We coordinate the Thanksgiving baskets, the adopt a family during the Christmas holiday and so that keeps the office pretty busy as well. One of the things that we've been working on is really our collaboration with various organizations in the community, and so that has been increasing, which has been great, and just trying to create some efficiencies around the things that we do. Thanksgiving is a good example of that. There are many organizations that do Thanksgiving baskets and meals, and want to assist, and we were able to coordinate those services in order to extend the reach of the help that people want to provide. On the back of that first page, you'll see the Youth and Family Services section. So this is the area where, right now, the primary focus of this section is clinical in nature. So we provide therapy, individual and family therapy. So approximately 200 intakes were completed, and 100 of those assigned to therapists. Also, we provide some school-based services with on-site groups that run in 5 of the Milford Public Schools, and some therapy groups as well. We also work on the juvenile diversion program with the Milford Police Department, a first-time fire setter youth offender program with the fire department. Those are things that we're trying to work on a little bit more with some of the agencies in town for those individuals who can go through a 6-week, 8-week course and not have to, and a court order to participate in those programs. So that gives you a little picture of youth and family services. And then the final page just gives you a little bit of a financial picture in terms of grants that we receive outside of the city of Milford. Again, one of my goals is to really increase that pot currently between grants and then also the revenue we receive from therapy fees. We're at about $62,000, but my goal is to try to increase that. And slowly I've been able to do that even in the past 6 months. We've gotten some additional assistance from the Emergency Food and Shelter Program for food vouchers, which we couldn't previously have. We were able to get a community development block grant for rent mortgage assistance, and we were also able to increase our Milford Bank Foundation award. So hopefully we're on our way. Any questions?
No, thank you for the presentation.
She's impressive, isn't she?
That's Dr. Connie Young, who's on our health department.
I would agree. Very
You
helpful.
figure here, you're giving us 490, but that's not the figure you're getting, right?
No, that's not.
No.
No, each line item has decreased primarily as a result of there no longer being a director position being paid for, so we were able to create some efficiencies there.
Okay. Just in the area of clinical services, the treatment services, are you overlapping bridges or no, not at all?
No, we really try not to, and that's one of the agencies that we're trying to collaborate more with in order to ensure that there's not a duplication of services.
Right.
So typically, we will refer to bridges for
Right.
cases that are sort of above and beyond and who might need some level of treatment that we can't provide, so we
Right.
refer to bridges for those cases.
But you have no figures on that, would you? No.
I don't
It's kind of
offhand.
that's too nebulous, okay. All right. I'm just curious about that.
Thank you. 4111 Board of Aldermen.
14.
14.
If the board has any questions, I can certainly help answer those, but it is a status quo flat budget and has been for many years. The majority of that budget is for secretarial fees.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You have to pay secretarial? Take care. Oh, yeah, it's flat.
The Board of Finance, 4141.
Oh, that's fine. We're easy. That was
Flood and Erosion Board, 4146.
16.
Mr. Johnson isn't here, but that board has ramped up over the course of the last 5 years with
Sorry,
Storm
that's-
Irene and Storm Sandy and all of the projects that the city is undergoing for building resiliencies into our coastline. That board has put out the RFQ and done all the interviews for all of the different grants that we've received for storm resiliency, both the CDBG and some of the FEMA grants. So they have interviewed all the engineering firms that have applied for helping us put back together our shoreline and build harder infrastructure along the coast.
Good. You need it.
Yeah.
4147, Tree Commission.
There it is. Still there, yeah. Okay, nobody had no trees.
And again, it's pretty much a status quo budget for that commission as well. The only thing I would like to point out is that that commission has worked with our Public Works Department in the past and worked with Milford Trees in the past. As you may or may not have seen, UI is pretty aggressive with their vegetative management. UI has maps. If you go to the city's tree commission website, they have those maps laid out as to when they're going to be in a particular area of the city. It gives the circuit lines that they're going to be pruning, sometimes too aggressively for a lot of us tree huggers. But there is that balance, that delicate balance that must be struck between the need to have beautiful tree-lined streets and also the security of our power grid. So we're trying to push to make sure that we do strike that perfect balance.
And I want all those trucks registered in the state of Connecticut. Not one of those trucks are registered, they're all registered in New York for 2 years. We're losing all that revenue till Governor Moore.
No, it's probably you, it's probably Orange that's losing that revenue because our
Yeah.
cars parked in Orange.
No, now they're back up to Eisenhower.
Uh,
Yeah, and I think we should get a rental fee for parking in Eisenhower now. All right, enough of that.
Conservation Commission, 4156.
That's a 32.
Come on up, we don't bite.
Yeah.
That's your right.
I told her I'd talk to her, but my name's Steve Johnson, the Open Space Natural Resource Agent. This is Janet McAllister, who's on our Conservation Commission, and appreciate past support from the Finance Board. Conservation is a flat budget, but I wanted to give you a little insights in terms of what the Commission's about and why I think they're really doing some important things. They're a 9-member advisory committee. By state statutes, they advise on open space issues, and by request, they also make recommendations to the Planning and Zoning Commission on applications. This last year, the Conservation Commission had 2 special site walks and issued recommendations on that. I serve as a staff liaison to Conservation now. This past year, the bulk of the budget is in for training expenses, and one of the things that I'm really proud of is that the commissioners attend a variety of the different trainings available, like the Connecticut Land Conservation Council, the Connecticut Association of Wetland Scientists, the Connecticut Invasive Plant Working Group, the CACUIT Group, which is the Association of Conservation and Inland Wetland Commissions. They really take it seriously. This last year, the Conservation Commission recommended 4 Conservation Service Awards to recognize people that have made a difference in the community. And with Mayor Blake's support, he provided proclamations to 4 different individuals. One was the Subway Corporation, who stepped up in a big way and made a big improvement over at the city's Mondo Ponds property, enhancing the trail about 2/3 of a mile. 2 Girl Scout troops, one has been doing a number of habitat restorations and pollinator planting gardens around the city for about 4 years now. And also another group, young brownies that did the Do Not Feed the Waterfowl house.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
He did a great job. And then also a garden club member who just goes above and beyond what a volunteer does, really helping for the benefit of the entire community. So just want to give you a sense on that. I appreciate your time, past support. If you have any questions, we'll have to answer those for you.
Yeah, I noticed that you don't have secretarial fees, you don't have needing minutes or?
Well, we do, and we do have minutes, but what, what I had requested last year and was approved is that with me acting as a staff liaison, I've been actually doing the minutes and filing those, and that saves the secretarial fees, and we can better allocate the money toward training. But
That's true.
The challenge I've got, though, is we've got commissioners doing all these trainings and not submitting expenses. So, so the money hasn't been used.
I did not.
But I'm going to be making that a little bit more, putting the request out to make sure they send in the receipts so they can get reimbursement.
After Hartford finishes with us, then we could discuss.
Okay.
You're gonna do a number on us. Okay.
Okay, we'll move, 4162 is open space, page 34.
Yeah. So, again, I really appreciate the support here. I want to give you just a really quick overview in terms of what I have found to be, I think, really important in terms of the fabric of the community of Milford. And the more I've had a chance to work in this position, in this capacity, I really believe that, you know, conserving Milford's open spaces are really important and help strengthen the economy, you know, its benefits for the community as well as for the environment. And it's really important for future generations as well. You know, the decisions we make today are going to have lasting effects down the road. And really my department, my role as one, has really been an effort to really become a resource for other departments throughout the city, as well as to community groups throughout the city. It ranges from scouts to churches to nonprofit groups to condominium associations to residents, all reaching out looking for some help and assistance and guidance. Really my focus this year is really working to complete some outstanding grants that will have a really important impact in the city. The Beaverbrook Boardwalk project is finally, after a year of engineering analysis and study, is being finalized. We're waiting on just a prevailing wage so we can go out to bid on phase 2 to actually begin the construction of that boardwalk project. And the mayor really helped point the direction and open the door for applying for the STEEP grant, which is $500,000, and then also a CDBG grant for $45,000. So we've completed $53,000 worth of engineering, and then we've got the remaining funds to go towards the construction, waiting to get the final construction estimates on that project.
And the funds come from where?
The two main, one is a STEEP grant, Small Town Economic Assistance Program through the state, and then the other one is CDBG funding, which was $45,000. So we've received all the three pertinent permits that we need for that between inland wetlands and DEP and Army Corps of Engineering. The Mondo Ponds Trail I mentioned, you know, that was really a generous, really grant that Subway stepped up in a big way. It was privately funded, so you know, I'm not going to put a dollar amount on it, but it was very, very generous and very appreciated. We also, another reason Janet is here, it's a good example of partnering with people in the city. We had applied for a circa Yukon Dune grant about 1.5 years ago. And it's a small grant, but I think it's about $8,000, but it's going to demonstrate opportunity to help create a more resilient, healthy dune down along the Walnut Beach Boardwalk. There's about a 375 section of the dune just east of the fishing pier it's overtaken by invasives and just not appropriate, not native to that dune environment, and actually is gonna be more prone to erosion during storms than having the native beach grass planted. So Janet and I partnered, applied for the grant, got it, and it's just a question, we were the first one chosen through this grant program, but they didn't have the contract in place, so we're still working through the contract. But that's gonna be involving the community, in terms of like the Boys and Girls Club, Walnut Beach Association, others, planting about 5,000 beach grass plugs down there once we go through this program over the next year and another year and a quarter.
Can I ask you just a second? Peter, what are these expenses, how do we account for these expenses that they get for the grants? Do we see that anywhere?
You would see it in Fund 76. The
Fund
special
76?
Special revenue fund. That comprises all of most
The
of
only
the grants.
area I'll find that is in my blue book, right?
Yes.
You do the accounting on that though, right?
We
Do you have somebody?
we do the accounting, but each department and grant owner is, they're at the starting point in terms of managing the expenses submitted, payment vouchers to accounting, but overall, yes, we are responsible in finance to ensure that the numbers are correct and reported properly.
Okay, so all the grant money comes into 76 too as well, right?
Yes, the revenue comes in and the expenditures match the revenue.
What if expenditures exceed the grant?
The expenditure, then we would have a deficit and we would have to resolve the deficit. But usually that doesn't happen.
Doesn't
because,
happen.
yeah, we require a budget up front, and finance help to enforce that each department or each grant owner adheres to the budget.
Okay, very good, thank you.
There's one final grant I'm awaiting for completion on. It's a USDA Natural Resources Conservation Grant. And there's avoiding appraisals on 9 privately owned properties. This is part of a floodplain acquisition program after Superstorm Sandy, so that I should know in the next month or so.
One other question I have for you, when this work goes out, who does the work under these major grants?
Well, in the major grants, a good example, this would be a boardwalk project. We initially looked hard at doing a lot of that work internally, and just realized after a period of time, and even though it seems simple, the environment is difficult, and it required a level of expertise and permitting that was going to take too much time. So we actually put together an RFQ. Went out to bid, interviewed, we had 13 engineering firms, we interviewed 6 of them and chose 1 to do the first phase, and went out to bid on that. As a result of the build project specifications that we're going to be receiving from Malone and Broom on that, once again, we'll be going out to bid again on that project professionally. And part of that was, given the nature of the funds, how that can best be spent using the professional services and reporting that wouldn't provide an undue burden on the city. In these other smaller grants, like the Dune grant, it's primarily, the match is all in-kind services with volunteers. And it'll be reaching out as kind of like an Earth Day project and involving the community. So that's going to not require, there is going to be one element of that where we're going to be contracting for the invasive plant management through a specialty group that the city already works with to treat from the invasive vegetation on the dune, and that's about half the value of the grant. So, one of the key takeaways that I wanted to just express is that in the calendar year 2016, how is accounting for this, but it's fairly consistent from year to year. If I went it on a fiscal year, I had documented about 551 different volunteer projects, totaling about 1,750 hours of support to the city. And it ranges from scout troops doing Eagle projects to church groups doing beach cleanups, community businesses and organizations. And I think that's an example of how you can create relationships, leverage these opportunities, because there are people out there who do want to help make a difference in the city. And I think that's a great example. In March, we're going to be hosting what's called the Coastal Certificate Program, which will involve 35 people doing a class down at the Connecticut Audubon. It's hosted through the Long Island Sound Study and the Connecticut Master Gardeners. People are going to be paying $75 to attend the class. But as a result of their class, people are going to be required to contribute at least 10 community service hours towards a project related to this landscaping sustainability affecting our coastal region. So potentially, we could have another 350 volunteer hours, being applied in our area here. So, last thing, in terms of outreach, I think the walking trails brochures that we did with the Council of Governments was another great way of leveraging some of our assets here. Mayor Blake's Happy Trails video got a lot of requests for trail brochures, and it's been a great outreach for people. So we have some good things planned, including some trail openings at the Solomon Woods property, working with Public Works, taking down some dilapidated buildings. So thank you for, again, the past support, and being happy to answer any questions you folks have.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bridges, 4813.
89.
My name is Barbara DeMarlo. I'm the president and CEO of Bridges. And I'd like to introduce Jennifer Fiorillo. She is new here tonight. She is our new chief of business operations and is overseeing our financial operations. This year we have served a total of 1,776 adults, children, and families. And of those adults, children, and families, 70% of those individuals fell within the low to moderate income level, making them eligible for state-assisted insurance, Husky Medicaid. And more than 53,000 units of services were provided to residents of Milford, and an additional 30,000 to children and families. So the 53,000 were for the adults and 30,000 were for children and families. This year, we're focusing a lot of our attention on the opioid epidemic in our communities. We've seen in Milford alone multiple heroin overdoses, fatal overdoses. And we have received a small grant this year from the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services to begin to address that. And we're utilizing most of the funding to train our prescribers and our providers in medication-assisted treatment, which is known as MAT, an evidence-based medication model to address opioid and other addictions. And we're in the midst of applying for a federal grant from the Health and Human Services Department to address opioid addiction in women aged 50 and older, and girls aged 10 through 17. So we're in the midst of that, and we're hoping to receive some of those dollars for assistance. So that's new this year for us. I welcome questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
Do they know what is contributing to the increase in these opioid cases? Do they know?
Well, availability and prescribed legal, medication to control pain, either post-surgery or chronic pain. That's certainly a contributing factor, but in the younger population, it's, you know, more readily available, and it's fairly cheap.
Now, do you track doctors that are involved in these cases?
So,
In other words, maybe you have 10 kids come in, and they say, Dr. Smith is the one I get my prescription from.
right, we do.
Dr. Smith came again, Dr. Smith came again.
Right.
Is there a
Yes, we
tracking
do.
on that?
Well, there's actually now, we're required, legally required, as a healthcare provider.
That's what I want to know.
Yes, to, you know, to track anyone that comes, so we don't prescribe those medications,
Right.
obviously. But we have a lot of people coming into us that are on those medications. So we're required to track their use of the medication through other prescribers. And we have access to that
Right.
information. So we could see, you know, what medications are, because people don't always tell us.
Mhm.
And we could see if there's what's known as doctor shopping.
Right.
And so our concern mainly is, I mean, not to be judgmental, but some of the medications that we're prescribing have really bad interactions with, opioid medications, and can increase the risk of overdose. So, of overdose and fatal overdose. So we are a Narcan provider now. For those of you who don't know about Narcan, so not only our prescribers, but most of our workforce that have interaction with clients have been trained to detect an overdose and to use Narcan to reverse the effects of the overdose, because sometimes by the time they get to the ER, it's too late. So we've been doing that for about a year, and so we're an agency that's ready to really respond to this. We're training all of our prescribers in some of the latest medication-assisted treatments that I mentioned that are more effective than the traditional medications like methadone maintenance.
The police and fire are using Narcan, are they not? All of them?
Yes. Well,
Do you know?
In Milford.
In Milford.
All the police cars have Narcan?
Yeah, I think most of our communities, I know that we work with the West Haven Police and the Orange Police, and they do as well.
Does our fire department, just the emergency services would use Narcan?
At one point, Narcan could only be administered by a paramedic because you needed to use a needle.
Right.
So at one point, it was only able to be administered via advanced life support, but now it's, I think, nasal based.
Oh, that's right.
People other than paramedics can administer the dosage.
Okay. Now, I noticed we're getting an increase here what is the increase here for?
That's what Deepa had mentioned under her budget. The program for teen pregnancy has gotten moved over it's been moved over for now a little over a year, but it's now being administered through Bridges. At one point, it had a relationship with the city, Bridges, and the Milford Hospital, but now Bridges is doing the administration component of it.
This is for what now?
It's called the Young Parents Program, YPP, and Bridges acquired that program in April of last year. And we've incorporated that into our services.
Did we cut anywhere to get that?
Yes. Well, it was moved from the health.
Human
Oh,
resource,
yeah, It was
yeah.
moved from the one department to the other.
Okay.
The hospital used to solicit funds for that. Will that change? Milford Hospital used to solicit funding for that program.
I'm not sure.
So the administration, so they used to work actually out of the hospital, and so they moved over to Bridges as their home. I don't know if the hospital is the hospital still gonna have some role in terms of promoting the program, or?
No, and the hospital really, I mean, my understanding is the only role that the hospital had was to donate space for the office staff. They didn't provide any funding, but they provided space and some administrative support. So now we're all of the program operations are within Bridges and with our space, and we're providing all the administrative and the program oversight.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions?
Well, so,
But thank you.
Okay,
thank you very much.
Thanks for coming out.
Okay.
4815, Veterans Grave Preservation Commission.
89. Over.
What page? That's page 89. Yeah. 4816, Milford Flotilla.
93.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Francine Dorillo, I'm Vice Commander of Flotilla 24-3 in Milford. We have the big buoys on either side of our building.
Yes.
Mhm.
We have been supporting Milford for over 70 years, not at that particular building, but in that capacity that we do. Last year alone, our membership, which is all volunteer, logged in over 17,000 hours. We help boaters with free safety checks on their vessels, ensure compliance with the state of Connecticut for licensing, help them avoid getting fees by the Coast Guard for not having certain items on their boat. We empty their boat with a checklist, and that's a free service. We check for hazards in the water after storms like logs that have accumulated. We will also, with the GPS system, patrol and look at buoys to make sure they haven't gone off course. We have a Milford School program for the middle school students. We've conducted 109 classes. We are teaching kids math and science under the clever disguise of navigation, determining speed, distance, time of arrival, and these students actually perform course plotting and how to read a chart and compasses. We discuss north and magnetic north, longitude, latitude, factors in speed and wind and currents. When we were kids, it was like Johnny got on his bike and rode to school but forgot his lunch. So Daddy came with the car traveling at this speed. When will he arrive at the school, etc. So it's similar to that. And I'm proud to announce that because of this partnership with the school system in Milford, we are now going national with that program, and the Coast Guard Auxiliary has talked about going a national program. We are going to be the benchmark for it, and we can do it in other schools too. In addition, we have served to make the local youth aware of safety on the water with paddle sports such as kayaking and now paddleboarding, which, by the way, I've tried and I will never do again. But the number one rescues that we do are kayaks, going out to Charles Island and back. And so we give a course in paddle sports for that reason, talking about what to bring with them, how to read current, how to read a wave. We are also honored to serve the community in parades, memorial events, the Oyster Festival, Pirates Day, to name a few. We also open our facility to Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. We had a bunch of church 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds coming down to the base. I don't know if you've ever been in the base, but we have many, many toys to play with, such as ropes and how to make lines and buoys, and we dress them up in the inflatable life jackets, etc. We do that, and we continue to be ever thankful for the opportunity we have to support the public here in Milford, and we're looking forward to an exciting year this year. We do have a boat. We are a 100% volunteer organization. We do not get paid. We do charge a fee for the course that we teach in boating safety, but that entitles them to get their license with the state of Connecticut. And we do have to buy the materials for that course. We do have to buy the compasses and, the protractors and things like that we use. If we go out on patrol when the Coast Guard asks us to, we go out officially. We do not get paid. We are reimbursed for gas for our boat, and that's it. Let's see, we've had 17,463 total hours from our membership alone in doing all of these volunteer services for the town. Any questions? I have no gifts for you, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I could give you boat whistles, or if I knew that, I would
I
have
was looking for that.
floatable keychains.
He's good. We'll get him. He's got more money than you.
Do you have any problems with your neighbors down there?
What, the ice cream shop? We used to-
No. Milford Landing.
Oh, Milford Landing? No,
Yeah.
no, not at all.
Good.
They allow us to keep our boat there, which is good. We do have a boat, we work on it. We clean it a lot. If anybody has a boat, you know where all the money goes
That's right.
into supplies. Our boat is about 30 years old, and the engine has been replaced, and so we
That's
continue
what I
to
thought,
work on
yeah.
that, yeah. You ought to stop down and see it. It's pretty impressive. We have the highest number of awards for our services that we do, and we have we need more walls is what we need for the amount of awards that we have.
Other funding do you receive?
We get a fee, that's all we receive, is a fee for doing the class. We don't charge anyone to do the boat inspections, we don't charge to do any other service that we have, just the course, and of course, the city of Milford is very generous to us.
Okay.
That money goes back into the corporation to help maintain that base. You know, it's been flooded twice.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So we spend a lot of money there. We are now in the process of getting a new coffee pot.
Well, thank you for coming
Thank you.
out. Very,
Please
very
come
good.
down to the base. We're going to be holding, one of our goals this year is to increase membership and recruitment. And we are going to be holding a lot of open houses. So with our new coffee pot and an open house, I'm sure.
That'll work.
You'll be ready for the new season.
Yeah, I can't thank you enough, though.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our commander would be here, but he's down in Florida, so
Tough
he
life.
sent me.
Tough life. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Milford Progress 4819.
91.
I don't see anyone here from Milford Progress, but I think, Brian, you're from Milford
I am.
Progress. I think Mr. Beard is from Milford
No,
Progress.
not anymore. Jim got kicked off, but I have to recuse myself from
After 30
Jim
years,
retired
they got
after
rid of
many,
me.
many years of
Separate
service
boards.
to the board. He retired. But,
You're up, so.
okay, so we'll move on. Milford Historic District 4818. Milford Historic District 2 4820. Those are just
Yeah, that's sort of.
secretarial fees. Cemetery Association.
Here we go. I want to see some brochures, please.
Oh.
I want a map of the cemetery.
I'll get you one.
No, no. I want to find my enemies, where they're buried.
They're all there.
They're all there.
Trust me. You can't have too many, you can't have too many left.
No, I don't.
Welcome, Mr. Beard. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Very good.
What would you like to know?
Let's see if we could ask an interesting.
Are you doing anything up in
West
the
River?
old farm, West, no,
No.
West River,
No, what
yeah?
has happened is historically, a third of deaths went to cremations, and now that's moving up to half, and which is good news in terms of saving the real estate for the future.
Yeah.
But it's bad news in terms of our revenue. Nobody's getting traditionally buried anymore. They're all taking the ashes home and doing whatever. And
that's
primarily
true.
for I'm guessing for the cost of a traditional burial, which is getting up there. So we're caught up in that cycle.
Now, when people bury the cremation, what kind of plot are they getting for that now?
Well,
You have to get a regular plot for,
You can, if you have a loved one in a plot, we allow up to 4 cremains to be put in that traditional plot. But most people are just taking the cremains home. We did a beautiful wall in the back of Kings Highway. We have 400 niches for cremains, and we're gradually selling those. And there's a nice committal area there that, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's laid out very nice. So that's available. But apart from that, the good news is we're saving our Kings Highway real estate, so that prolongs the need for the Aldo farm on West River. So that's all paid for, we mortgaged that, that's all paid for, so
Mhm.
that's in Milford's future for
Who's getting the hay?
the hay, Timmy Astrab does the hay, which works out great because
Yeah.
it keeps the overgrowth down.
Right, exactly.
And,
I think I'm gonna put a bid in, all right?
we get in line.
Oh, no.
All right,
All right, thank you.
thank you for coming out.
Appreciate it very much. What are we on now?
We are recreation.
Yeah, already down, yeah.
Yes, we are, 4620 recreation fund.
Well,
We're
this
trying.
Oh, Mike, this is gonna take a long time. Page 82.
Can't see anything now.
Yeah,
Your eye out.
it's done now.
What happens, I can't see whether I'm on or off.
What do we got?
82. Is there anything you'd like to say?
Know in many years past, we've talked about minimum wage going up, and we thought that maybe we had seen the end of that, but there's currently two bills with the legislature, one in the House, one in the Senate, that would increase minimum wage
Oh, yeah.
$1 a year again, to $15 by 2020, and then base it on a cost of living increase based on the consumer price index. So we've been fortunate through the years that we've been able to survive some of those increases, but we're getting to the breaking point. So we didn't go up in seasonal temporary this year,
Right.
but I would anticipate coming before you looking for money again after January 1st, because we spend almost 80% of that just in 6 weeks in the summer, as you all know. So in the next 5 years, it's looking at going up, what equates to 48%. So just to maintain what we're doing now, a seasonal temporary would have to go from 350,000 to about 520,000. So as you see, that, that's of course over 5 years, but just to get through next year, we're probably looking at an additional $31,000. The minimum wage since 1999 has gone up 68.6%. The seasonal temporary account in that same time period's only gone up 39.7%. So we're behind. We're falling further behind. That's really the only concern budget-wise. Otherwise, the budget again is flat. The only increases are contractual wage increases.
Any members have any questions?
How many people do you roughly have under seasonal temporary? That's your lifeguards and what else is it?
Lifeguards, summer playground staff, building supervisors for indoor activities, camp happiness staff. All said and done, probably close to 200.
200? Now, with the new fields up on Orange Avenue, what does that involve? Any additional employees or not?
That'll include some more responsibility for somebody in the office to kind of have their hands on that on a daily basis, because it is going to be a sought-after facility, and we anticipate a lot of use on it.
What are we having in there? Lacrosse is going to be in those fields?
Lacrosse, soccer, football,
Well,
any other field sport, field hockey, probably not too far away here in Milford.
is it designed for field hockey? I mean, the lines, I see all these lines on it.
There's
I'm trying to figure out what that is.
marks, it's not lined for field hockey, but the corners and the important marks are marked in the field.
Mhm.
And we're trying to come up with a policy of field use so that we can start recuperating some of those costs and put that money towards turf replacement, which is probably 12 years out these days. You have to replace the turf after 12 years.
What is that material? I saw them put it down.
So it's synthetic turf, formerly known as AstroTurf, but it's synthetic strands of material.
Is it rubber?
There's rubber on the inside of it filled with sand to keep it cushioned.
Is that finished? I rode by the other day.
So the fields
Yeah.
are finished. We're waiting for the final testing to be done on, which was supposed to be done last Friday because of the weather, they can't get out there. We still have some work to do in the concession restroom building, and some minor punch list items and some landscaping that has to be corrected. And we have to pave the final coat on the parking lot, but we have to wait till the asphalt plant's open.
Is there gonna be a freshman stand there? No.
There is.
There is?
Yeah.
Okay. The tennis courts, is that under your supervision, right?
Yes, it is.
Are those lights what they were there before, the up and Eisenhower?
Yes, they are.
They're the same lights up overhead?
Same lights up overhead.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what.
Yeah.
I saw
We would
them.
like to change them over to LED lights,
Why aren't they?
$200,000
Well, you got $1 million
to do
for
their,
12 courts.
to resurface the courts, we had $1 million.
Oh,
So we did the 4 courts at Eisenhower, the 8 courts at Eisenhower,
Yeah.
4 at Anderson, and 4 at Fowler. So we're in like the $850,000 range without having any changes. Hopefully, we won't see any,
mhm.
but I don't believe we have enough to do the LED lights up there yet.
They want 200,000 feet.
That's about,
Say just Eisenhower, what would it be?
approximately $200,000.
Wow. What's the cost savings on it, though? They give you any cost savings on it?
We haven't got any hard numbers, but for the amount of time that those lights are on,
They want a lot.
but
They
they're
keep
not,
me awake at night.
but they're not on as much as lights in these buildings are on. And
Right.
the cost savings would take, I mean, there would be cost savings,
Like a long
but it would
time.
take a long lifespan to recuperate that cost.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the mayor will have some money later, so we'll find some money. I'm all set.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Paul.
That's it. Okay.
Parks, Beach and Recreation Commission?
Oh, that's you too, okay. Well, that's just secretarial, right?
Okay, Mr. Secretary.
Right. Thank you for mentioning it though, 4153 Park and Recreation.
31.
31. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Last but not least.
Well,
yes.
when does that court gonna be finished, you know?
When the asphalt plant's open again, hopefully first week in April, probably by mid-April.
They gotta put another clay layer?
Another coat on it, then we have to wait about 10 days before it can be painted, and then I'll come back and pop the fences in.
Gonna put up green fences?
Black.
Oh, that's good.
Won't even know they're there.
I hate silver.
Well, you must have got somebody mad at you.
That's
okay.
I know.
Next year, that means you're gonna go backwards,
I
right?
tell you what, if you pay me, we'll get this all straightened out for you.
How about a slip for the oyster festival? You got a boat?
Not anymore.
Well, Harbor Commissions, page 109,
110.
110.
Enterprise.
Yes, Ray Swift, Director of Milford Landing, Milford Liston Landing.
That's the commission.
How much money has the state taken away from you this year?
No, they did that 5 years ago.
And they haven't put it back.
No. You know, as far as our budget goes, it's pretty much been the same since I've been here, and this board and the Board of Aldermen are probably about the only people in town who understand that we work from a contained fund. Everybody seems to think that we, get our money from the city as opposed to from our harbor commission fund. So what's in the budget isn't necessarily what I spend. I try to spend as little as possible. So there's a few items in there that if we need it, it's there, so we don't have to go to the Board of Aldermen for transfers out of the fund. I have a bulky computer right now. That was added this year. If I can get by without it, I don't need it. Same with a couple other hardware items in there, like the lawnmower and snow blower. But those are the items that we need, and we need it when we need it, as opposed to going through the process of getting funds taken out of from the main fund.
What's a furniture fixture?
Pardon?
Furniture fixture, what's that area?
Well, it's time to replace the furniture on the patio. The patio was redone last year.
Oh, yeah.
It looks, what a job they did. The grounds are so much improved with that patio and the sidewalk that goes to Scooby's. But it's time for furniture, but I gotta look at the numbers at July 1st to see if we're gonna buy furniture or not.
Yeah.
Or get by with what we have. But the option is there. Okay.
How's it- Oh, I'm not looking at the revenue yet, are we?
Well, you can look at it all, it's all together, Fund 36.
Yeah, 36, right.
You might want to mention
No,
I'm on that.
the docks and the helix.
Yeah.
You always have something.
Well, we had a major project this fall. We had one of our mooring field, which is, at least 12 years old, some sections a little older. We had a shackle fail. So we had to go through the expense of replacing all of them. There's 70 floats out there.
Right.
And one side, the cables that go to the anchors on one side are much newer than the original ones that are out there. And I'd like to just refer to it as routine maintenance. After 12 years, it was time to start changing out these shackles. It was something just short of $100,000 to do that, which involved underwater work.
Right.
And as opposed to just going down there and replacing shackles, over 12 years, most of them were buried
Yeah,
with silt, and some of them deeper than an arm's length. So we're fortunate to have Rich Winkapal, who installed the system out there. He's a Milford resident, and his operation, Sterling Marine, always comes in about a third of what other outfits bid for these jobs. It's his project. He wants it maintained, and he shows this to people who in other areas who would like this type of operation. And they got it done. They didn't get it done until the middle of January. So it was cold, and they were all under, at times there were 3 divers out there.
They air pressure that stuff?
They used a pump. They didn't blow out some of the silt.
Right.
They pumped it out, but they managed to get everyone done.
Wow.
But if I can have a minute of your time, I'm glad you brought up the pilot funds, which we lost 5 years or so ago, which is about $73,000. But another one of our big expenses, and if you look at all the little sections in there, and maybe Peter can help me out here. In the 10 years I've been there, our insurances have gone from $11,000 to $55,000.
Marine insurance.
Well, it's a lot, but I haven't inquired in years as to why that's so expensive and why it's gone up about $44,000 a year. So between the pilot funds and insurance, that's $100,000 we've made up. I mean, we're somewhere, we're around the break-even point every year, but that's including making up these funds. And on the revenue side, there's only so many weekends and so many slips. And so the revenue side, it's not easy to make up these funds other than cut, because we pretty much know where the revenue is going to be about here. But we're getting it done.
What was the, this year, the moorings, not moorings, the slips?
I thought we'd have a little better bump with a drop in fuel prices. Somebody had an interesting theory that because the fuel price dropped, it was a pretty good drop, that people were, they were going further than what they, Milford's such a centralized location. We get a lot of customers who came here when fuel was really high. And we didn't lose any customers, but the bump I expected we didn't get. So they're thinking a lot of people who said, we're going to Block Island this year because we can afford to go out there.
How many clubs do you have coming in?
Black Rock from Long Island comes in Memorial Day weekend, Mount Sinai sailing. The clubs from the river come over and for Columbus Day weekend.
Polish club.
Yeah, they came in last year. They're great. They're a great group. It's a Polish-American
Oh, yeah.
sailing group from New York.
Right.
And they come in every year. They came in last year, and they're one of the best groups we have. South
They're
Norwalk.
noisy though. They keep playing the polkas at 2 o'clock in the morning.
They were out late.
Yeah.
They were out late.
Yeah, that's why I give up all the, too much noise in the house.
Anyway, Peter, is there any chance that will ever go down again, or how come it's gotten so high over the years?
Well, because there is a rate of increase each year, and also there was an existing deficit in the insurance fund for the marina. So each year, we've been running that deficit, but it's been coming down. I think the deficit is almost gone, it's almost eliminated, so I think I can definitely relook at it, and with that gone, it should lower the rate.
We were promised help when the aldermen cut our fees. We were promised help on the insurance, and it's gone the other way.
I don't recall,
I do.
how the Board of Aldermen could give help on insurance.
Who set your fees?
We held the fees on the moorings
Okay.
for 10 years.
Right.
And it became time, and we got our butt handed to us for doing that. Why, I don't know. And so, Alderman Vecchiarelli wanted this to do it for nothing, and I said, that's fine. You just put us in the budget. You can do whatever you want. We're an enterprise fund.
Right.
And we stand on our own. We're hammered with overhead here. And so we laddered the increase over 4 or 5 years, and it cost us about 10 or 20 grand, I forgot the number, that we would have received with the increase all at once. And for that, they promised to help us with the insurance, and that never came about.
Peter, will you look into the insurance so that when we go before the Board of Aldermen, we have some recommendations to provide to the Board of Aldermen with respect to the insurance?
Sure.
So this is all based on formulas, and does it go back to some of the trip and fall lawsuits and
Well, you have to look at it too, that, you have to pay a premium to buy into the insurance fund. So if you have claims that are either below the deductible, or there is a large claim like we did in the past, that's why there was a deficit in Fund 17 for me, because there was one large claim that hits several years ago, and so, that was an ongoing issue. But fortunately,
but that claim was, I'm just, because I don't know, I just want to, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions? Like, I remember we had paid out a $100,000 trip and fall claim. But that was, that's got to be 5, 6 years ago. 1, 2, there's $350,000 that's been paid in insurance fees since then.
And our
It just seems like
argument was that
it just seems like the premiums are high.
Well, they are high, unfortunately.
our argument was that came from the public portion of the park, if you will, and not the marina side. We really haven't had any claims that I know of.
Not from voters.
On the marina
Voters.
side. It's from the.
That's a separate coverage anyway, isn't it?
Well, we get tagged for it.
it's like with your cars, like like with auto insurance, you may have 0 claims. Like, I haven't had an accident in 20 years, but my insurance doesn't stay flat each year. There's always a small increase each year. So that's one other way to look at it, that you're paying a premium to, to get this insurance coverage through the city.
So we can anticipate it going down at some point.
Well, I would say normally no, but I.
Can you read back the
I'm
minutes,
hoping
please?
to live-
I think what he's saying is flat, the increase might be lower.
Yeah, there you go, lower increase or.
Is there anything further?
I don't know.
Anyone like- All
No,
right.
thank you very much.
Thank you, it is an asset to the city and you do a nice job. Despite some of the numbers on your board.
Oh.
Boy, that's tough.
You're not talking about my uncle, are you?
Well, at this point, for the business, we will recess until Wednesday night.
Wednesday.
See you guys.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Good seeing you. Oh, don't sign that. You were late.
Dr. Bag.
Dr. Peg.
So, yes, 4-1 pleasure. It was a great, great
Okay,
game.
4-1?
4-1.
And then Brent,
That was it.